Hi everyone, welcome back to the channel. This video is going to be a bit of a deeper dive into how I create the texture on my wood that I do for my buildings. I primarily use balsa wood. I like the feel of balsa wood. It takes texture incredibly well. It's cheap, and I don't have to blunt too many knives when using it. So this I've had a lot of questions on my Instagram and on my YouTube about how I do this, and there is a shorter video, one of my first ones, so I thought to do a bit of an extra deep dive kind of thing on this. I'm hoping to do that a bit more with the foam and other products I use, and maybe my desk and my tools as well. So here you can see me cutting up some balsa sheets. I get mine from Hobbycraft, or my balsa wood. It comes in 36-inch long pieces and packs of 5 for usually no more than £4 a pack. I get different various sizes. I have done my research and found that Hobbycraft is one of the cheapest, if not the cheapest, supplier in the UK of balsa pieces. You can buy them in bulk from other websites on the internet, but you do pay a fair amount of postage, where I find that Hobbycraft, you can order it to the store, you don't pay for postage, so it saves you 10, 15, 20 pence per piece. So that's why I found it's the cheapest, so that's where I get mine, and I'm lucky enough to live close to a Hobbycraft. So for the current project, you can see I'm cutting this larger piece into what I know as 8cm sections, and they will be cut individually down into 5mm boards. I will then be texturing them and roughing them up, but we'll go through that as and when we do the video, as and when we go through this section here. I've done it in real time to slow the method down for you, so you can actually get a real good look on how I do it. It's possibly not the most effective way of doing wood, but it's something that I think is quite realistic. You wouldn't always see the wood grain in a building of this size. So I do quite like the high fantasy exaggerated look of wood grain on some buildings, but it's just not my style of building. I do have plans to try some high fantasy stuff very shortly. I do obviously my buildings are fantasy, but they're not high fantasy like massive arches and huge windows and massive wood beams. Mine, I try and keep them to a realistic scale if possible, but I do fancy trying out some high fantasy. So here you can see these boards have been cut to 25mm or 1 inch. I think they're just 1 inch boards, and I'm marking out every 5mm. You will get a discrepancy doing it like this by hand and not using like a mini Proxon table saw or something. But I quite like the discrepancy, because if you look at old floorboards, some are thicker than others, some are thinner than others, and at this scale, 0.001 of a mil, you're not really going to be able to tell. And you can always just shave a bit off the edge if it doesn't fit in the bit you're trying to stick in anyway. So I just score down twice. The first press is light along the ruler, and then the second press is not hard but firm to just make sure you snap straight through the wood. On these pieces specifically, there is a soft side and a harder side. I think that's where I just left them in the office, and they just got baked a little bit by the sun, so that's my fault completely. But yeah, this real-time video gives you a sense of exactly how long a project would actually take me. So I think this section of the video here is roughly 7 to 8 minutes long, could be even 9 minutes. And I'm only cutting 5 pieces of wood, and I've got about 60 here, so you can see how long this can take me and how tedious some people might think it is, but it's very therapeutic for me. I quite enjoy the process, as well as obviously when I do the foam, I cut the bricks and then lay cobblestones. The latest cobblestone I laid was for the Angry Dragon Inn. I think I laid about 5,000 cobblestones in an afternoon. It was quite nice. Calms a hectic mind. Now once you've got your planks, I take a not very sharp knife, but one that's got a little bit left on the back edge, and I shave off the edges on the long sides. This will allow your brush to catch the edges more when you dry brush, allow the wash to sink in between the planks to make it darker, and differentiate the planks between each other rather than having them just butt up against each other with a flat edge and seemingly bulk into one piece of wood. We've just cut them apart for that very reason, because we want to be able to see the detail, so I'm just exaggerating it ever so slightly. Yeah, I'll do a few more of these. Please be very careful when you're using your blades at home. You should never cut towards yourself. I do quite often. I'm quite confident with how I use my blades, my scalpels. As you can see, I'm quite slow. I keep a thumb underneath the blade there to steady myself and guard my other finger. But yeah, you should be careful when you're at home, especially if you're under the age of 16. Please do get a parent to help you do this. So I'm going to do these 5 here. I'm usually a little bit quicker than this. I've got a camera in front of me and I'm having to bend my head at awkward angles to see what I'm doing. So yeah, I'm usually a little bit quicker. You will get a bit messy because you'll have a lot of shavings. And here I'm going to show you how I detail the planks. So I have my sharp knife. This is my blunt. This is the same blunt knife I was using to cut the edges off. And I turn it upside down. Here's the sharp one I was using to cut, and there's the blunt one I use for the shaving the edges. So I turn it upside down and I score individual lines. Yep, I know, individual lines. It sounds crazy, but I do this on every single plank. There are quicker ways to do this. You'll see in a second. I'll show you one of the ways I've also done it. But yeah, this is the way I do it. Scoring individual lines all the way down. It doesn't matter if they meet. It doesn't matter if they form grain patterns at all. You're just getting a texture so that you can dry brush and it looks effective. You do not need to make it look like a tree trunk or an actual plank that's been cut out of a tree. You really don't. There we go. That's an effective looking plank. So we'll do a few more of these so you can get just a glimpse of how long these projects actually take. I never usually put nail holes in any of my wood that I do. If you ever get the chance to take a look at wooden floorboards in a house, take a look at how small those nail holes are and how deep they go into the wood. You hardly ever see them. So I don't put them in. A lot of people do and they look really good sometimes. But I think if you're going to put nails in these planks, they would be imperceivable. You would not be able to see them to paint them. And trying to paint a silver tip on the edge of them, you're just going to paint all over the wood. So yeah, I don't find it's worth it. It's crazy enough doing all these cuts in the wood like this. I really don't want to put holes in it as well. So I'm lightly scoring with the blade. I'm not, sorry, not with the blade, with the back of the head of the blade, because it's thicker than the actual blade itself, so you get a bit more of a detailed look to it. I'm not going through the wood, I'm just lightly scoring over the top so you can just see the impression of the scar on the wood. There we go, you can see a bit better there. It doesn't matter if you take chunks out of the wood on the side either, because again, these are old buildings. They've been worn for centuries and they will continue to be worn for centuries, in theory, if it was a real building. So here we go. I'm going to take you now and I'm going to show you how I do my square pieces of wood. This is a piece of square dowel. I think it's 3/16, which is roughly 5mm. That's why I use it. I do this in exactly the same way, only as with the boards, I only texture the sides you're actually going to see. So if this is on the corner of a building, I'll only corner this side and this side. If it's the flat on the building, I'll only texture one side. I'll never texture all 4 sides. It's pointless. It just wastes time. Yeah, you only really need to texture the pieces, you can see. So again, I just lay it flat on the table and I score down it. This is obviously a little bit harder because it's higher in the air. It's only, I mean, it's 4mm higher, but it's higher up than the other ones that are flat on the desk. So you do tend to fall off the side a little bit. But again, that helps with the look of the beam anyway. So beams in ceilings and mantelpieces, they often have large chunks taken out of them. Again, which will also raise detail when you dry brush or paint them later on as well. As you can see, 2 square edges and 1 nicely detailed edge with the detailed wood grain. Again, I don't believe the wood grain has to be super thick or massive. I tend to use balsa wood as well because I have not found an effective way to do wood grain on foam yet. I am looking into it. I don't have a hot wire wand. I think the wood grain looks too thick. Again, I don't do high fantasy, so a lot of people on YouTube that do that, it looks fantastic for their builds. It's just not my style, unfortunately. But their buildings do look great with that method. It just doesn't suit mine, so I am trying to find an effective way of doing wood grain on foam that I like, and I'll be happy to put on my buildings. But as of yet, I've not found one, but I am trying to work on it. So here's one of the other ways that I do my wood grain. So this red thing I've got here is a barbecue cleaner. You can get these in many different sizes and shapes, but I got the large one because it has very, very stiff bristles. The brass ones tend to be super soft and don't go into the wood at all, so you don't get any detail. But these ones are super hard. As you can see when I'm brushing the wood against it, it hardly moves. But you can see there, if I get it into the light, it gives you lots and lots of detail. Again, they're not all connected lines. You can't see the individual wood grains, you can't see knots or anything in this wood, but you can see an effective grain where wash will seep into, and you'll be able to dry brush and it will look really good and effective, like worn floorboards are supposed to look. But I use that method on the 5mm by 5mm rod as well. It's quite easy. It's easier on these because these are less prone to snapping. The thinner ones will snap if you don't support them with your finger, but these ones are super easy. And I find with the thicker wood, you can go deeper in with the grain. As you can see at the bottom there, the wire from these goes nice and deeper in, and you're basically taking up the softer wood of the balsa. I mean, I know all balsa's soft, but you're taking up the softer sapwood, or non-sapwood as it were. Here we are, the 3 different types of wood texture. So this is the one done with the blade. So the back of the blade there, it's quite nice. You do see some fuzzy bits, but again, once you've got your Mod Podge mix down on it and you paint on it, you won't see those bits anymore. This is the flat piece with the barbecue cleaner, or the wire brush. And then we have the 5mm by 5mm. This is the wire brush end. You can see it goes nice and deep in there. And if we turn it around, this is the knife. We've used the scalpel blade at the end. Gives it a nice rough texture. Perfect for stronger beams and fireplaces and such. So I'm going to show you a few things I've made using this method. So this is one of the doors I'm using for a current commission. So I use the hole from some arches I cut out with the foam and then stick the wooden planks to it. Made a little keyhole with some card. And those are beads are from nail art. So I got 1,000 beads for about £1 off eBay, and they've suited me well over the years. And you can see where the boards in the door meet. That's exactly the edge I was talking about when you chamfer off the edge, and you get a nice big deep recess. This is a set of stairs I designed for the Angry Dragon Inn. They'll be going on the first floor, leading up to the second. So, yeah, I do a lot of woodwork and fiddling around. This is an outhouse I made for the Angry Dragon Inn as well. You can see some of the strips on the side. They're actually basswood. That's super hard wood. It doesn't texture very well at all. And the stains underneath are just where the super glue has run down through the balsa, making it hard. But then I'll paint up no problem. There's even a little rope to lock the door and some hinges on there. And there's the loo. No hole cut in it because you don't need to be seeing that. And there's a section of bar I made for the Angry Dragon Inn as well. The textured side, tiny little pieces. The square pieces on the front there Haven't been textured because they're just nice flat polished wood, but the rest of it has been textured for use over the years. I've just got to put a shelf in there and put some glasses in so the barman can serve his patrons. So really hope you like it, guys. Thanks very much for tuning in. Here's some, just going to show you some painted examples of some music of how I painted it up, but thanks very much for tuning in again. Really appreciate your support. If you can, please like, comment and subscribe if you'd like to see some more style videos like this. Maybe for the XPS foam bricks, I can do a desktop breakdown of what I've got in my drawers and what tools and stuff I use. So yeah, please feel free to like, comment and subscribe as I said, and we'll see you in the next video. Thanks very much.